it's going to show that we're live.
That's generally how it works.
Yeah, okay, I see it. Okay, I see it. Nice. All right, that's fun. We're live. Awesome. Uh I guess we'll figure out more on the details how we go about this, but I guess we can kind of start rolling.
I wanted to see if I could edit the live
Sure.
titles, but let's go. Let's kick it off.
Cool, man. All right. Well, for anyone watching, thanks for joining us. This is JR here at Social Ledger Report, and this is our first live stream here with Leon.
I am driving everything, so
For now, let me, as if you're watching this, let me kind of just tell you what we're doing today. So, last episode, which came out on Friday, just yesterday, we're recording on a Saturday. We were talking about AAVE, Kelp DAO, and all these um, hacks and security breaches on crypto, which is, April has been the worst month for that, and it's gotten a lot of bad PR, and people and normies are probably going to be thinking, man, why am I risking my money putting it on DeFi where I can do the same on, you know, especially because DeFi gives you like what, 5% APR at most, maybe 3.5 is the most common. Why would I park my money on DeFi where it's largely unsafe compared to a savings account? And we've been interviewing some customers for Mintlock, and that's been some of the voices we're echoing here, but or concerns that we're echoing. But you know, DeFi has a long way to go. I think there's still a lot of opportunity there. We have a lot of smart people building on these tools, and that's why I'm largely super bullish on crypto. Have been bullish for the last better part of 5 years at least. So, anyways, we're gonna have some developments today on where everything is headed, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about prediction market developments and some macroeconomics on crypto and just how everything is tying up, especially since as Bitcoin develops and all these other, you know, macroeconomics about Bitcoin develop, how Bitcoin is kind of performing the same as the S&P 500. You know, I know you and I were talking about it a while ago, Leon, how the S&P 500 and Bitcoin are kind of moving in parallel. However, I think it's what's interesting is I don't remember the exact moment this happened, but the S&P 500 last year did pretty good. Like it reached 5,000 for the first time. Now it's like 7.5 or something. But Bitcoin was not moving up the same way the S&P was. So does that sound any does that ring any bell? Does that sound familiar to you?
well, don't they move together pretty closely? Like if the
Not
stock
pretty well.
markets are doing good, the Bitcoin's doing good. It Bitcoin acts more like a fairly recent IPO high tech stock in general. So
Yep.
whenever Bitcoin is down, it the stock market's down. Same thing with equity markets and stuff, which I think is contradicting what you're saying.
Hmm. Well, truth be told, I'm not a financial person. Just someone who knows a little bit more about finance than your average Jane and Joe. But I'm here at Grok, and I'm gonna ask it. Hey, does Bitcoin and S&P 500 move together price wise? I guess.
Yeah,
So it's thinking. Let's see what it says.
because I have a Claude output, and I'll show you the Claude output.
Sure. So here's what it said. No, not perfectly or consistently, which is my argument, by the way. But they have shown increasing positive correlation in recent years, especially since around 2020. Meantime, or I'm sorry, meaning they move in the same direction. Some key points in correlation coefficient basics. This ranges from -1, perfect inverse movement, to +1, perfect same direction movement. Zero means no consistent relationship. So that kind of went over my head, if I'm being honest. But there is some math technical analysis as to how this moves almost in parallel. So it pulled this chart. I don't know where it got it from. It says Bitcoin versus S&P 10-year performance. It's illustrative, not to scale. So it's not going to be like super accurate, I guess, but um I mean, there was a bull run. I'm guessing this is the one from 2021. Just
Yeah,
remembering
I hate that
patterns.
there's no, I hate that there's no
Like
descriptors on it. What's the word for it?
like
Like
I know what you're saying.
chart metrics. But
Yeah.
I think let me show real quick
Sure.
what Claude said, because I think Claude had a better output than Grok, and I know
Sure.
people want to say that Grok's better in some ways, but this is, yes, more than ever, but it's complicated, and I think that's fair. The rolling 30-day correlation hit
Mm.
0.74, so one being the highest that it follows, one
Yep.
for one. And on certain intraday windows, the relationship has touched 0.94, meaning Bitcoin has been trading almost tick for tick with equities during recent sell-offs. And that's more of what I'm saying, is in more recent times that it
Yeah.
has been following. Um,
Okay.
and the reason is because of ETFs. And I think if you look at it
Yeah.
a longer roll, which is what Grok was doing, it it does not move before the ETFs and all the equities are there. But this institutional adoption is big. BlackRock selling and buying, portfolio integrations, like that's gonna push it. And it's essentially acting as leverage equity positions. And it's not acting like gold. Like normally people talk about safe havens, especially war. Bitcoin performs best the rolling 6 months after a conflict because it is still a store of wealth overall.
It is a store of wealth. I hear people like Jack Dorsey and similar talk about how the only true currency is Bitcoin and how instead of using it to hold wealth, it should be used to do commercial purchases, like day to day. And I don't think that's true, because the network is fucking slow. You need high frequency network like Visa and MasterCard. Those are high frequency. Like you can move dollars, you can move like trillions of dollars a day with it. Um, Bitcoin can only do 3 to 7 transactions a second, which is super slow compared. And Solana is probably the fastest one for that. Also, the layer one
But
that's
Solana's
hyper liquid,
centralized.
it's very
Like,
centralized for sure, but it's still the fastest. And even Hyperliquid, which is also centralized in a way, it is not VC backed, by the way, which is really cool. But Hyperliquid, that one is another high frequency blockchain. I don't know how fast it is compared to Solana, but that's just another example. But again, the point being, Bitcoin just isn't built for day to day commercial expenses. It's more built, in my opinion, for storage of wealth, generation of wealth.
yeah, it's lost its digital gold out there. Like it's weakened. Bitcoin was a hedge against stocks. The past it always delivered, the opposite results. And now with institutional money and ETF structural ETF demand,
Yep.
we're seeing it go out there. Um, it's going to feel a lot more like an equity market because it is going to be affected by the macroeconomics of it. But man, Cash App is fully on Bitcoin. Like
Yeah.
it,
Well,
it.
Cash App is part of Block. So
Well, yeah, but Block is like Cash App is Block. Like that. That's what it. You know, like that's all they're doing, really.
well, sorry, you mentioned they're doing Bitcoin now, and I know the person running it at the high most is Jack Dorsey, so it makes sense. But what was what were you saying? Didn't want to cut you
Well,
off.
essentially, what Block does is Square, Cash App, Afterpay. They have BitKey, and then they've got Proto, which is there. Like this is their collection of stuff, and I think
Sure.
this is kind of interesting. It's Square, which is I believe it's the largest payment terminal out there for small business, and then it's Cash App, which is one of the largest transaction volumes for peer to peer like payments. Afterpay, which is like the buy now pay later stuff. They've got Tidal, which is the JC backed, and like Music Network, which I think is really odd in this collection of stuff. They have
Yeah.
BitKey, and then they have Proto, which Proto I didn't know was them. Like it's some sort of Bitcoin mining, but I was kind of like, whoa, not something I expected for them.
Okay. Honestly, that's pretty cool. I remember when people and banks and all these other traditional financial institutions were saying how Bitcoin is just a facade. I swear to God, for every time you hear someone say Bitcoin's gonna die, it's gonna go to zero, you'd probably be rich if you were to get paid a penny on it. um,
Well,
every
now you can do it. If somebody says that, you can just go do some perpetuals, futures on it
yeah,
and win on it.
true. So you can whoa, words. You can actually put your money where your mouth is. So that's funny. Um,
Yes.
Speaking of betting, so I know I mentioned the AAVE stuff, but I think a good segue for something that we want to talk about is predictions and perpetuals. So, have you heard of any developments this week, Leon, as far as perpetuals with Kalshi and Polymarket?
I saw that they're doing some stuff, but I'm not a really big fan of these places, so I kind of put them out of my my purview half the time. But give me the lowdown.
Sure. So I went to Grok just because I wanted to get the input of our AI overlord. Both Kalshi and Polymarket are launching or have launched perpetual future. Well, I'm ESL, so sometimes I fuck up while I'm talking English. They both launched perpetual futures, a major expansion beyond traditional event-based prediction markets. I think it makes sense. I think prediction markets have become this very pervasive tool. Fucking why is Fidelity and Charles Schwab including prediction markets is beyond me. Coinbase, it makes sense. They're the everything exchange. Gemini, Beacon Exchange, I don't get it. But anyways, so I'm not going to talk about what perpetuals are, even though it's telling me here. But in recent developments this week, Kalshi is preparing to launch crypto perpetual futures, starting with Bitcoin and others, or more commodities to follow. And it's planned to launch on April 27th, so in just 2 days from now, under the code name Timeless. So I love their socials, by the way. They're super they're super fun with their socials, I think, especially on
I
Instagram.
Yeah, they're fun, but they're very predatory, and that's why I don't like them.
Okay, like they target people who don't have money or something.
Yeah, like essentially they're like, oh, pay off your house with this, or make rent by trading perpetuals, and it's like I think like 99% of people lose money.
Yeah, it's like I forget the metric. I can probably find it here in a moment, but at least as far as perpetuals, I don't know, but prediction markets, like 70% people lose money on prediction markets. I think, and I've been a victim of it. Well, I'm not a victim, but I've been a dumbass about it because I think I read a prediction and I'm like, okay, so if I put my money here and if I'm right, I'm gonna 5x my money. So if I'm putting $10, I'm gonna make 50 or something. But me being a dumbass is not fully reading the rules or understanding what is the outcome or what is the criteria for me to get out this payout, and then I end up losing $10. Some just for
So
example.
roughly of 95% of people on Polymarket have lost money and not made a dime. And then the
I'm sure that's true.
5%, uh, hold on,
Just
it won't let me share this. It won't let me share this window. But
uh,
um,
that's fine.
yeah, it's like a Claude broken out one. It's not popping up in my share. So it's only 1% of majority of people have net profits. So 1% of users actually have net profits.
1% of users.
Yeah, that hold most of the net profits, and then the other 4% hold like less than $1,000 in profits, and then 95% of users on the Parley market have lost money.
Wow. So what I know is if we're to compare like these type of platforms, for some reason I'm seeing myself being smaller than you. I don't know if that's just me, but it threw me off for a moment and lost my train of thought. But no, what I'm trying to say is if you look at like Pump.fun, prediction markets, perpetuals, these are different markets where you can make money off of by almost betting. Because at the end of the day, like stocks, people call stocks and all that casinos, but it's just a very naive simplification. But if we were to compare that as a benchmark, pump.fund is and token launches is where you lose the most money. Like I think less than 90% of people actually make like no more than $100. Some metric like that,
Yeah.
if I remember, which is the worst. And then prediction markets, it's like 70% people lose money. And then perpetuals, somewhere around that, maybe like 60 or something. But we could probably find it here in a moment. But yeah, my that's my point. But yeah, so going back to Kalshi, let me go ahead and share my screen. So this came out just 10 days ago, actually. Trade on commodities 24/7, now on Kalshi. So I don't know if you can hear the audio.
Yeah, I can.
Here you can trade on, you know what? I want to hear myself talk, so I'm gonna have to mute it. But can I slow down the video? Yeah, the playback, so I'm gonna do it like 0.5. So commodities. I actually think it's very cool how you can trade on coffee, you can trade on gold, silver, lithium, gas. That's fucking cool, in my opinion. I personally have some people call this like gambling, but I think it's just the way the economy is. Like it's all fucking vibes. There's no such thing as technical analysis on the market moving. Like a good friend of ours said, 90% of the market's moving is largely based on vibes rather than some math formula, which it makes sense. If anyone could
Yeah,
create
but
a math
all,
formula,
all of all of this has been available before. Like you could trade on
yeah, yeah.
coffee and weed and corn. Like I,
Nope.
I think it's just bringing it into the mass markets, but also um, there's like an onion thing. Have you heard of that? The what
Sounds
was
familiar.
the onion? It was onions where the dude um he bought onions and crashed the market. Let's see. I'm gonna pull up the Claude window.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
this
yeah.
this guy Vincent Kuwasaga. Um, he was a New York onion farmer, trader in the 1950s. He was very talented, everything. He was cornered the market and he owned 30 million pounds of onions because he could store them. And then um, with all of these onions, he started dumping them on the market to drive prices down so he could profit on the short positions. It worked.
Yep.
And then, like selling 10 cents. And then the political fallout where just like everybody was like mad at him. And then General Ford, the president, championed their cause. And then Onion Future Act, which banned futures tradings on onions entirely. It's still law today. You can't do it. Um, like, what's stopping this from happening? Like, this could happen all over again. Like Tron, USDT, Tron is cornering the market on gold. They're buying gold up. Like, I could see people doing the same exact stuff. I'm like, this influenced the debate about prediction markets. The CFTC's resistance on Kashi echoed the same logic Ford used, and the Kashi's lawyers actually reverenced the onion situation with market utility. So I think this is it's a really old and funny story, but it's also like kind of where I'm like, man, this call sheet and all of this, I'm like, where is this going? Because it's a highly unregulated market. And call sheet is interesting because it's not crypto based. It's just prediction market based. Their settlements are not on a blockchain. But Polymarket, which leads into this, is they're on Polygon and their settlements happen on Polygon. And the the perpetuals are going to give more liquidity to the market. The perpetuals are also going to give when they don't have an oracle on the actual or market maker inside of that prediction. Like this is going to make it easier because of it. But I do think like they're essentially gambling with leverage on things that feel like they know the outcome, and the consumer protection optics are just rough because they think they know what's happening and then they just don't. And when you're the exit liquidity, it's never fun. And you are the exit liquidity, but it does give better price discovery. Like in the end, you're going to get better market clearing, which arguably gives more accurate probability signals than like a thin order book or something on like a binary. But it is also like hedging a business case. Like there's hedging, like a use case. Like for example, businesses genuinely exposed to election outcomes or policy decisions could use perpetuals to hedge continuously rather than in discrete contracts. So I think there's some like benefits. I think a lot of stuff that's happening is fairly predatory, and then what we see
Yep.
in the future is gonna be the big thing. Like for example, if I was like a company that was trading on the Supreme Court saying yes to tariff refunds, and I knew I had tariffs, like you could go do a perpetual on that, and bet yes and all of that, and then kind of always be betting on it and keep your risk low, because I'm sure you might not want to take the tariffs back because of Trump's like thinly veiled threats of like I'm gonna remember who it was.
No, I get it. Also, prediction markets have been existing for a long time. I don't know if you mentioned that, but you mentioned all these other things,
Yeah, a little
commodities you
bit.
could trade on,
Mostly
have existed
offshore.
for a long time. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I really like how I was watching this interview from Tarek, the CEO guy. Very smart guy. He's like a math fucking genius. He said that prediction markets have existed for a long time as well, but they weren't as mainstream or modernized until they came in. And I think it's funny because him or Tarek and Luana, as well as Shane Copeland, were building their own products, you know, separately. Shane Copeland being the founder of Polymarket, and then Luana and Tarek being the founders of Kalshi. The difference is, they were raised by different VCs and different ecosystems, but they're now in the tens of billions of dollars in valuation for their products, and it's a marketplace, so it makes sense. So let me ask you, Leon, and this is kind of like my challenge. Why do you think it's important to have, or to even consider putting all of these on the blockchain, like all these markets and maybe the settlements?
So like we're seeing it on like coffee a bit, where the platform is the one who's making the decision, and like they have some sort of board governing it. But I think putting it on a actual chain could help with that. I don't know, and I know Polymarkets had more problems with this too, but I could see it having ability to actually like make decisions, and you could have like a DAO making decisions and stuff. Like I think that
Yep.
there's some real possibilities on like letting the market control itself with Polymarket versus having like a centralized board authority doing it. Um, I also think like the settlements being instantaneous on the chain could be a big part of it. Low
Yep.
fees on all of it, like that's kind of to the Polygon and Polymarket thing.
Yeah. We got
Um,
to talk about it here in a moment, but yeah.
yeah, like I think that there's a part to that with it, and then I do think like a liquidity fragmentation part. It's like if more liquidity gets serious about prediction markets, I think we could see like a liquidity kind of fragmentation between platforms and everything. And if it's all, on chain, it's easier to, like have that liquidity for these places and these contracts.
Yeah, I like your answer. Honestly, that's probably more granular than what I was thinking. Although, well, I don't have a financial background. I've been learning. The one thing that really draw me into crypto is how we're seeing in 2008. subprime mortgage crisis is probably what, I mean, not only that kick off Bitcoin, but that's kind of an example of why people who understand financial stuff and people who are just really fans of the technology, like how I am, all think that there's a lot of problems with the traditional financial system, like settlements, transparency, you name it. A lot of that is what this technology, Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain technology solves. It's not just some casino where people can create meme coins and then just rug pull their holders, or have people be the exit liquidity. But I really I really just think that you know it makes so much sense why even Kalshi is moving to crypto. It started with with Polymarket, but now that Kalshi is making efforts to do that, I don't know if you knew this, but you can also make settlements with, you can make purchases on certain predictions with USDC now on Kalshi. But I mean, everything is moving on chain, and it's kind of like what all the financial leaders, like even BlackRock, Larry Fink has been saying. Everything is going to get tokenized. Everything is going to move on chain. Brian Armstrong has been saying that for a long time, and it doesn't seem as obvious, but your point is just faster. Settlements are easier. They're more transparent. Fees are cheap. Maintenance, it's just at an all-time low with that. So it makes sense. Like, why aren't we using this already? We're actually getting there, but it took a while to get here. And I think with this
Yeah.
administration, we're finally getting the green light that we've been wanting for like maybe the last 5 years too. So it's very exciting. We live in very exciting times. Some people might say, oh, the world's coming to an end. Skynet is being developed with Palantir. But there's always something to be hopeful for in the future. And I think for me, it's seeing how the financial system is getting its upgrade. Now, let's finish off this topic on prediction markets. So I'm gonna finish off what Grok was saying real quick. So at a broader context, I don't know if you can see my screen. At a broader context, why does this matter? Both platforms are racing to capture derivatives volume, which is actually a shit ton of volume. Global crypto perp already exceeds $80 trillion annually in some estimates. So that's an insane amount of money of volume. Um, it positions them against traditional crypto exchanges and new entrants like Robinhood slash Coinbase prediction offerings. Regulatory questions remain. We are leveraging risks, CFTC oversight for the US and users. You can kind of read the rest. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is a very bullish scenario for crypto, indirectly, even though directly what we're seeing is prediction markets just evolving. Um, but with that being said, why don't we do some bets? I know you're not a much of a fan on that, on prediction markets, but I actually feel like making a bet right now. But first, I should probably load up my account real quick.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Polygon and where it's going to go. Like, I was looking to see if they
Yeah,
had a prediction market on which chain they would adopt, but I don't see that at all.
cool. While you do that,
Which
let's
who are you using to do that?
for what? The prediction?
Yeah.
Kalshi.
Okay.
If I want to use Polymarket, I have to connect with the fucking.
Uh, VPN. That's what I was going to ask about. I was like, are you going to use the VPN or not?
So because we're live, I'm kind of like, oof, I don't know if I want to do that. However, let me share my screen. Give me a moment. I think I'll just share my. I don't want to share my entire window. Okay. I was looking at Polymarket, and it's really cool how you can use anything to connect now. Like a lot of these tools. Why the fuck would I need to use my Steam account to connect to Polymarket is beyond me, but that's kind of fun. I was actually inspired in making Mintlock. While making Mintlock, I was inspired by Polymarket's UI here. You can use MetaMask, Phantom Wallet, Coinbase, you name it. Telegram kind of makes sense. That's where a lot of like the crypto people are in. Um, but here, let me try connecting with my MetaMask. I think it's gonna make me. I'm already connected. Awesome. Yeah. So deposits are region locked, and I don't feel like using a VPN right now, so I'm not gonna do that right now. That sucks. I don't get it. Anyways, so let's go to Kalshi. Now, I do have a current live position right now. Will the DHS be funded again? I put no. If it pays off, I'll get $74. So that's nice. It's like a $24 gain. Um, what should we bet on? I don't sports bet as much. Crypto, this is more perpetuals. Kind of perpetuals. It's like saying, hey, is it going to be like at this point, at this time? Yes or no? So it's like pseudo perpetuals. Um, what's trending right now? It's a lot of sports, some political stuff, which I'm actually more. I actually bet more on politics than anything else. I don't talk about politics with a lot of people. You're probably one of the few, Leon, but just because people are insufferable, insufferable. I mean, but um, what do I feel like betting? Well, Trump. I don't want to do Trump right now. I think just to keep it on par with the topic that we're doing right now, we're gonna do crypto. I also think it's very interesting how you can do predictions on all these different tokens and networks like hype. I don't know hype enough to make a prediction there, but I'd say why don't we do a perpetual here on Bitcoin's price. So actually, let's pull up Bitcoin's price because it's very relevant right now. Bitcoin price. So right now it's at $77, 77,000, my bad. This isn't very up to date, but it's sitting around 7,390. That's like the current price. And the bet is, hey, is this gonna go in the next 10 minutes or I guess 9 minutes? Is it gonna go up or below 77,430? A lot of people are betting no, so I'm just gonna play it safe right now. Um, I think it's cool. I earned 3.25% interest on my active positions. That is pretty cool. I'm gonna put I'm gonna bet $30 right now. I understand what I'm getting myself on. So by the time we're talking about Polygon or we're done talking about it, I'd say we check in on my position. Now, cool. I'm in. I got my position up open. All right. You know, I saw a bot, a trading bot. I okay, so Twitter, half the posts I read there are fucking bullshit, but some people have come out saying they've created trading bots that do all these pseudo perpetual type predictions, and I think it's very interesting. Um, I wonder if people really want this. Who do you think,
What?
like some sort of agent or a trading bot that would do all these predictions for them, like autonomously?
I, I think there's a subset of people that want it. There's always been trading bots and trading tools out there, even in the past. Like there's like prop firms are really big before. I don't know if you ever done a prop firm.
I haven't.
Yeah, prop firms are pretty fun. Um, like well, like there are people out there like Autopilot has a Claude based one. Like it's like made $50,000 off of 10,000 or something. There's a few of them out there that do really good, but I think it's again like a small subset of users.
Hmm. I gotcha. Um, Probably not mass market, but definitely prosumer type of product. There's definitely money in there, I
It's
think.
like Forex.
For oh yeah, that makes sense. Forex, yeah.
Yeah, it's big, but it's also like I believe most Forex users like 70% lose money. Again, like most of these things lose money.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to say it's like, it's people use gambling and betting interchangeably, but they're very different things. And I'm actually on the side that I don't think prediction markets are gambling because it's like saying trading is gambling. Not necessarily gambling, it's betting, but that's as far as I can say based on my knowledge. But while this is running in the background, maybe we can check back in the next 6 minutes how this position turns out. Do you want to talk about Polygon?
Yeah. Yeah, so the Polygon, and I have a little bit of info on this, is essentially there was a tweet. Let me see. Who do you remember who it was that tweeted it out?
Hmm.
It was
What exactly? How about Polygon?
it was about Polygon. He was the one who started this.
Oh, how Polymarket is moving from Polygon, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. I saw a tweet about it earlier this week. I'm still calling it tweets. I don't know what else to call it, if I'm being honest. I'll find it.
Okay, so this was it. I'm not seeing him tagged in it. Dev Josh Stevens.
God
Let's
damn it.
see, Dev Josh Stevens.
Hey, settle down, Ren.
Josh
Someone's at my
Stevens.
door. I'll be right back. Man,
And then let's see, is this it? No. Okay, so this was it. I'll wait for you, JR, wherever you've gone.
I'm back. Sometimes I have a bad habit of locking on my fiance when she's trying to get in. So I had to save the day, and my dog was throwing a tantrum. Anyways, I'm here. So you were saying
So
this? It's a lot of text.
chain migration here. They're talking chain migration. Is exactly what we're doing. Chain migration, cheaper gas, and much smaller block times, and settlement and instant.
Uh huh.
And that is what triggered that Polygon is or Polymarket is moving off of Polygon. Um, that's where it all started. It's just this broader tweet.
This is the fucking yes. So he's new on Polymarket, which is really cool. I love how you have all these people on the company talking about the product from a high level. Obviously, I think people who have equity are very incentivized to do this, but also they have to enjoy this for them to be talking about it. Where is the prediction? I'm gonna go ahead and repost your post. Question.
Migrate two TOO no two yeah. Let's see. So I would say where they would like reputationally move to, I think is
Yeah.
um I think it's like base, thinking base.
Bates is the most popular layer 2 on Ethereum.
Yeah,
Regarding volume.
Arbitrum.
Arbitrum is good for
Solana,
RWAs. Solana has the most frequency.
maybe ETH mainnet.
Why do you think ETH mainnet?
Because it's got custom app chains. There's some like Validium is actually doing some prediction market protocols are out there, and then like they could do some more stuff on that. Like there's use cases out there. Um, like probably like the long term architecture for serious prediction markets is on Ethereum, I think.
I do like Ethereum for mainnet for building dApps. Polymarket is a dApp, after all. But wasn't the reason why they wanted to move away from Polygon was because high fees and low frequency? Just from what I
Well,
understand.
yeah, so yes, but like Polymarket's created like this reputational problem. Um, it's associated with like lower tier projects and gaming apps, doesn't carry the credibility like a mature financial institution needs. There's like huge decentralization concerns. Like the Polygon POS has like faced criticism with their validator being centralized, and there's like security assumptions compared to like a true E2 or ETH layer 2. And then also like the migration mess, like they went from what Manic to Pole, and the broader 2.0 roadmaps just created a ton of confusion out there. Um,
Yep.
I think that's a big thing. And then again, liquidity fragmentation. And I talked about this earlier. It's like institutional money is more comfortable with Ethereum mainnet and established L2s than Polygon. So, like out there, and then Polygon's not a true L2. It's like that POS
Yep.
is technically a side chain. Um, it doesn't roll up to Ethereum, and then it doesn't in like Arbitrum or Base roll up to Ethereum, and they've got the security and they inherit all of that, but Polygon just doesn't. So
Okay.
I think that's all the reasons. And then I think the fact is like Ethereum seems to be the biggest out there. Like I would suspect that they do settlements on an L2, but I could see maybe like something being done with like the Ethereum mainnet as like the back, the back into it.
All these layer twos are Ethereum based, so that's what still confuses me what they're thinking. I do see how you're thinking though. um, I'm excited. I really like the PR behind Polymarket. They're trying to become this new media outlet, just as far
With
as bringing
what is it
money.
called? They have like a what's their media outlet thing out there? Oh, they have a Discord. Let me join their Discord.
The polygraph.
Poly.
There it is. Oh wait, no,
Oh,
no, that was another account. What I thought it was, but no. When I follow their newsletter, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but their newsletter is called the Polygraph.
no, it's like a red icon out there.
Hmm. Is it?
It's their news organization.
And it's official. Like it has a gold check mark or a blue one.
Mm, well, it's owned by them.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I pulled it up on Grok. Polymarket Intel is probably what it is. Breaking news, geopolitical insights, community run powered by Polymarket. And then there's Polymarket Sports and Polymarket Money.
I don't think that's it.
Yeah, probably not then. Um, what were you trying to find again?
The news provider for Polymarket. It's like
Gotcha.
the name eludes me.
Oh, you're fine. Okay, so my prediction went through, and yeah, I made money. um, as it turns out, Bitcoin was gonna stay below 77,400. So
Okay, okay.
made a little bit of money. That's nice. I might do another one here in a moment just because it's a little addicting if I'm being honest. But um I know their high frequency or their 15-minute intervals do charge the highest fees, not only in Polymarket but in Kalshi. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, I'm kind of done talking about prediction markets. Do you wanna say anything else about it? Maybe we can talk about our other topics.
Yeah, let's go to the other topics.
Sure. So why don't we follow up on AAVE? I know that was a pretty massive deal last week, or I guess for the last 2 weeks, but there's been some developments this week. As far as I saw on Twitter, I can pull it up here in a moment. But um, there was this there was this development from AAVE where they froze the RS ETH to contain the damage. The trigger highly utilized near 100% in some pools, especially in USDC. Liquidity crunches and withdrawal pressure. It okay, so I'm kind of just reading what Grok said, but if I remember, and I can pull this up here in a moment, some people, there was this whole argument happening on Twitter from different accounts where they were moving away from USDT because USDT is largely unregulated and there's a lot of fishiness behind it. I guess kind of how Polymarket and Kalshi are. Polymarket is not regulated, Kalshi is, and Kalshi has the best PR because they're regulated. So USDC is the new standard stablecoin, if you will. So for that reason alone, I've seen a lot of PR or a lot of noise going around. Hey, we're just going to use USDC now, essentially. Um, they also launched a version 4 that's launched on Ethereum mainnet as part of AAVE. After 2 years of development, let me share my screen here. I don't know where my little interface went. So here it is. So this is part of an update. The version 4 launch and protocol upgrades. So this is, I guess, following after the whole issue with the bridges. But the version 4 launched on Ethereum mainnet late last month. It uses a hub and spoke architecture for shared liquidity across specialized markets. I think it's very interesting. Um, the version 4 deposits surpassed $10 million shortly after launch. So that's pretty massive. I'm not seeing anything in this breakdown on what happened with following the security issue. So I'm gonna ask it real quick.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of stuff like with the like it's called DeFi United out there.
Okay.
Their Lido financing gave like 2,500 ST ETH or something, and then like another like a bunch of people came in and said that they're going to give ETH to do it, and then Arbitrum like took back the 30,000 ETH that was tied to the exploit
Uh-huh.
via that network like backdoor that they had built in.
Okay. First time hearing this, DeFi United, and I'm a little bit ashamed of saying that, but that's just the reality. So I need to learn more into that.
Yeah,
But
so that was what I was texting you on. It's the community bailout. Here, let me. Can I share
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
screen over
So
yours?
yeah, yeah.
I sent you a few of these things. Let's see, profile.
Yeah, there was that's what I was seeing.
This is right here. It's the DeFi are leading the DeFi United or to restore or DeFi United effort to restore RS East backing, and everyone's out there providing liquidity for it. So, um,
Like individual users, right? People who have
no, I
individual
think it's the
dashboards.
protocol more than anything.
Okay.
Let's ask Super Grok who's providing
Bro's got the premium plus.
DeFi United for. I was like, why is your face down there frozen?
Yeah, I was stuck in time. Cool.
Okay,
I'll look
so
into
the
that.
Aave DAO Pro is transferring 25,000 ETH. The Stanny, the Aave founders, 5,000 ETH, Ether 5,000, Lido Finance, 25,
Oh shit.
ST ETH, which is 5.7, Mantle, Goldman Foundation, and then there was a bunch of others too that were pledging money out there to do this bailout. And that's what I was telling you, that it's a community bailout versus like a government backed bailout.
That's massive. Now that I think about it, because I think this is more honest. People are putting their money where their mouth is, and I think if the founders are this committed, that says a lot of good thing. Like, can you imagine the founder who
Well,
instead of
I I don't think it's a commitment. I think it's a, a necessity. Like the dude's money is tied to all of this shit, right? Like,
yes,
and his
but
reputation.
Yeah. I mean, those are good points, but also, what's stopping these people from running away with our money? If they have access to it.
Well, it's a bank run. Like essentially, somebody's going
Right.
to get the short end of the stick.
Yeah, definitely. And
So
not only
either they
that,
bail out or you let the whole thing fail and everybody's fucked.
yeah, but, what I'm trying to say is I've seen so many cases where people just say, fuck everyone, I'm just going to run away with the money. But no,
Okay, that's
people
fair.
just get
They get out and then everybody else gets fucked. Yeah.
yeah, like that happens a
Like
lot.
yeah, like they're not just doing that. Everyone's coming to the rescue so that nobody else
Yep.
gets fucked over.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of things that are at high when you're building a business, there's a lot of things that are high stake, especially for the founders. But I mean, the fact that they're doing this is admirable in my opinion. Sure, they kind of have no choice if they're in that position. If you have the money and you're like, fuck, should I buy a yacht? Should I buy a Ferrari? Or should I fund my startup to help people, you know, be made full? I'm gonna go with the latter if I'm an honest
Yeah,
person.
it's just like you Drift is bailing out US or sorry, USDT is bailing out Drift.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's actually massive. So this is another follow-up. USDT is felling. I'm sorry. USDT is belling out Drift. Massive.
Yeah, they committed well, I believe Tether committed 125 million and then the other to 150 is from like other providers.
Yep.
Um and then that is essentially getting them to go from USDC to USDT out there. So like Drift is going to go to Tether for their stablecoin from USDC. That was kind of like their buyout.
Yep. Interesting.
So you've got Aave, which is getting bailed out by the community largely. Drift
Yep.
is getting bailed out by Tether and buying their sign, their loyalty. And then Aave for V4 will be launched on the main net or did, and then it supports both USDT and USDC, along with CB, BTC, and URC, and a bunch of other shit
Yep.
out there. But it is a stable coin war. Like all of this is, like the part out here is USDC has been gaining ground. It's still there. Like USDC, let's see. Super Grok, USDC versus USDT. Like
Yep.
USDT crushes it in volume.
USDT crushes.
Yeah, like USDC in volume.
I know it's the largest, but there's a bit of a transition because you made a point a while ago, which I'm forgetting, but you made something about how USDT could become insolvent, and that's a big risk for anyone holding
I think
USDT.
they've largely tamped down those fears though.
Okay.
And I'll
Yeah.
look at that next. But Tether, see, 99 billion in 24-hour trading period, 56 billion, and then market cap is 77, call it 78 billion, and this is 190 billion.
Hmm. I think
Um,
USDT. Well, the difference is one is mostly available in the US and the other one is available worldwide. Like people use USDT everywhere, especially
well,
in like
USDC is also available anywhere too. It's just a little bit more regulated. And also USDT
yeah.
just froze what, like 280 million that was linked to Iran.
Oh,
Did you see
recently,
that?
yeah. Yeah,
Like
and
yesterday.
yeah, I saw that and people were like, "Bro, what's stopping my money from being frozen as well?" Like those were some of the comments I saw on some of the threads.
That's why a lot of people go back to Bitcoin.
Yup. So it didn't solve it. It's insolvency. USDT.
Well, it was never officially insolvent, but it was close to getting
Depegged.
depegged.
Okay, so
Um,
that's what it was.
they are now on US, T bills, direct repo. They bought a bunch of Bitcoin. They bought a bunch of gold. Um, yeah, like they had a like there was a bunch of stuff like hired Big Form, KPMG, a bunch of people out there to like go provide essentially like reports that say like, hey, they are financially good. Um, they've held it. Let's see. You know, this is the big one. 344 million. I was like way off.
Okay. Yeah, it's a massive number too. Foreign assets,
Yeah,
344 million.
OFAC's pretty serious.
U.S. officials told CoinDesk that the sanctioned wallets showed material links to the Iranian regime, including transactions with Iranian exchanges. I didn't read this headline, but I saw like people talking about it. It's very interesting.
Dude, who the fuck's spraying WD-40 on their toilet? Like, what the hell?
What kind of ads are these? Were you looking it up
I don't
sometime?
just Google. I don't know. I don't know.
These are targeted, so sometimes I'm like, oh, is that what you were looking at before? No, but sometimes
WD
they reveal
40. I
information.
bought WD 40 the other day. Um,
Nice.
like I think this is also kind of there's no stable coin that is decentralized. I would love to see a decentralized stable coin in some capacity.
Hmm.
That would be very interesting. Like Tether is centralized, all of them are able to block that, a lot of them are able to freeze it. Like if they're like there's no way to do that in Bitcoin world. Like once it's in Bitcoin, it's in Bitcoin.
That's why Bitcoin is so appetizing. Like people just trust it, and it's decentralized as decentralized gets.
Yep.
It's the standard. Cool. Well, so it looks like Aave and Drift now had bailouts by their, you know, Tether and then Aave for the founder and community bailout. So that's fucking awesome. You know, I'm glad. I actually would use Aave more if I was on the fence whether using it and I was someone who was thinking where to park my money. I actually feel like Aave has kind of earned some credibility from that. It's personally, but I still use
I,
Morpho.
yeah, I agree with that. I think they've all got like that was a real test. Like a bank,
Yep.
they essentially had a bank run, and then they had a theft. You know, like out there, like it was a real test of the protocol, and I think the long term of it is probably pretty secure and safe. I just
Yep.
don't think the risk is worth the yield that they give, though. Like
Yeah, I agree.
4% or whatever it is, like that should be 20% for the risk that you're taking on.
There was this thing that um here's what I think though. You know Celsius, the exchange
I know
that has
Celsius the drink.
well, I prefer Red Bull, but yeah, the Celsius one is really good. No, so I mean this was from like 2021, 2022, but Celsius became insolvent and they froze a lot of people's money because
Oh yes.
and so if I remember correctly, and I saw CoffeeZilla's video about it, so if you want to pull it out here, we can just to make my point. But Celsius, um, they were giving 8% APY interest on Bitcoin. You cannot earn
Okay.
yield from Bitcoin. You have to, that is high risk. You need to be lending it out, which is no different than a bank. And the whole PR from Celsius was fuck banks. We're the new bank, if I'm not mistaken. So that is concerning. Whenever I hear certain protocols giving a certain amount of yield, the only ones that I would trust or that at least are more established are uh, Polkadot. That one offers 15% APY, but it's under native token. And that one is largely sustainable because of the transaction fees and gas fees that are provided in the network. So it kind of pays for itself. Another one that people don't know about is DSO. 20% APY on um, their proof of stake network is one of them. I used to be on DISA for like a good part of 3, 4 years until well, it just died. Like people don't use it as much. Um,
Oh, look at this.
Aave offering high yield, like at least 10%, would be massive, in my opinion. Just
Yeah, I
in,
think 10, 8 to 12 is kind of where I was thinking that I would be okay with it. But
okay,
they're aiming to relaunch a fork to exchange in May or June.
what does that mean? Like a forked exchange?
Just like Bitcoin's gotten forked in the past.
Yeah, I understand that, but like it's aiming to relaunch its forked exchange. Like its protocol or its platform, I guess you mean?
Well, I think it's like a exchange, like I don't know.
I understand when you're
I
forking
don't.
software, like especially protocols, but exchanges, that's a little bit alien for me. So that's where I'm like, wait, how can you? Well, I mean, this is gonna be like super out of topic or somewhat relevant, but VS Code, like the IDE where you build software, that's the most forked platform ever. Like Cursor uses it, and Gravity uses it. I wouldn't be surprised if Codex uses it. Um, so that's just an example. So when I see forked exchange, I'm like, well, what exactly?
Yeah, like what would you type in here?
Maybe describe what the fork exchange means. See what it says.
Like, yeah, like I think it's the same thing you're thinking on software.
Yeah.
It's just gonna there's the DevNet and stuff.
Hmm. But yeah, Ethereum is forked off of Bitcoin. So, I understand protocols being forked to make layer twos. All layer twos are a fork of Ethereum. So, it's like derivative. This is my ESL coming in, but the derivations or you know, new things coming out of old things, for lack of a better word. So yeah, we all know what a fork is, but like what does the fork exchange mean? Is it like its platform,
It's the whole thing. Like, yeah, yeah. It's
something
just
like a
taking the code
migration?
base, testing on DevNet, perpetual exchange. Yeah, it's taking the code and forking it.
It almost sounds like a migration software language wise, but I wonder what it's gonna do now because it's saying like it's getting forked. Well, are you going to overhaul it? Are you going to
No,
debug?
they can't use the old one, right? So the new one has to be made. So instead of rebuilding it, they're just going to take
Oh,
it. Like, yeah,
because of
like
the
that.
breach.
That's sorry. Yeah, like that's why I was confused. I was like, wait,
Me
what
too.
are you talking about? Yeah, so they're essentially just taking it and cleaning it up and then, relaunching it on the DevNet soon.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
That's fun. So DevNet, that means it's not on testnet, so it's gonna be like just I don't think it'll be on testnet for a while then, or on mainnet then for a while. But we'll see how that happens, how that rolls
This is a
out.
good this is a good tweet too.
I just realized your hat, Dr. Squatch. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, match my green shirt. Look,
Nice.
Polymarket will launch its own L2. That would be interesting. And I do think that makes sense. Like
It
and,
makes a
and
lot of
maybe
sense.
why, like and to my point, like if they could
Yep.
rely on some of the ETH mainnet stuff and then have their own L2, that would make a lot of sense.
Yep.
Only thing is it's just liquidity.
I saw
Maybe.
the
Maybe,
word.
maybe, maybe.
I saw the word frequency and settlements and okay, well, that's more than one word. The only words that I saw as far as why Polymarket is moving away from Polygon is because they don't want to pay high fees. They want more settlement frequency, like more transaction, I guess, frequency for lack of a better word. And Polygon was just kind of slow. So them making an L2 would be interesting. They're if they're making their own L2, they definitely have to release their own token at that point. So that could come maybe the network and then the token. So that'll be fun. I would totally buy like Polygon. I'm sorry, Polygon. I'd totally buy Polymarket net tokens just because it could really go up. It could also help with settlements. It's really fun. This is really fun. So is this just Random posts on the
Yeah,
timeline.
I was just scrolling through my timeline real quick.
No, you're fine. You know,
Is this
while
a
we were talking
mouse?
about all of this,
I want
I
to
was
smell.
thinking, wait, what's that?
Which one? That's a mouse. That was fucking
Oh,
cool.
so what I was gonna say is, while we were talking about this whole AAVE developments, I'm actually shocked we're not seeing prediction markets on those events. Now, I know there's Kalshi being regulated. I know they're more strict about what kind of predictions they can make, but Polymarket, it's not regulated, so it can actually make even more kind of prediction markets. So I guess that's the only advantage it kind of has, where you can freely create many predictions. But I think it's in the process of getting CFTC regulated, so it's going to be a little bit tricky. But like, why haven't we seen these kind of predictions? It's probably niche, but also maybe having a prediction market as to, hey, will Aave be insolvent by the end of May, by the end of April or something like that would be fun. But also, I guess it could spark insider trading because the founders could bet a lot of money, and then the next day, like the founder just um, bailed out the ecosystem. So I'm just here thinking my own thoughts. Like, no, it's actually pretty
I guess
complicated.
there's no market maker for that, right? You need a market maker.
I think Kalshi or like these platforms are the market makers, but
No,
not the
you inside of the market, you need somebody to make the like not they handle they're the oracle, essentially, and then they
right.
handle it. But you need a market maker to have enough liquidity in that to actually do something. So they actually encourage people to do like if you're really big, they go to the market makers and talk to them and say, hey, you should be in these and that, like they help, push those things because you have to have liquidity to do these predictions.
I thought the platforms were the liquidity. I'm sorry. I thought the platforms themselves were the market makers. I know they have some
No, let
market
me.
makers
It
that.
was in that Stripe interview with them. Let me ask
Okay,
Claude.
maybe we can pull out the video.
Yeah, like I could. Stripe.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Oh, I was actually listening to it last night. While I was searching for the Kalshi research conference, I was almost gonna go to that one, but I just wasn't able to last minute. Um, the one that held in New York. I hope they do that every year. That would be really fun to go. I think it's not a big conference like Consensus. I think it's to your point what you've said before, like one of those more small, intimate ones. Like I have a friend, I have a few friends from San Francisco, and some of them were there, and they took a selfie with the founders, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's probably not this massive conference, so that's pretty cool, and it's like open to the public, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so like this is what it is. So
Yeah,
like they're important underappreciated parts of how Kalshi works. Like you need market makers are active and liquid. Kalshi works with designated market makers to help provide consistent liquidity on both sides of trades. Market firms are selected based on their resources to maintain liquidity, trading experience, and reputations. So, like without Kalshi markets, would be illiquid and essentially untradeable. So, like you have groups out there of to make the market,
gotcha.
and
I
then
wonder who those people are.
like see like they actually provide them with the things who.
I always thought it was these people making were being the market makers. I know in the
Well, no, that's not
past.
how prediction markets work though. Like they're like fundamentally what they're doing is nothing new. You still have to have liquidity on there because Caution can't provide the liquidity for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so that actually changes my view on that because I always thought they were their own market makers, but no, it makes sense. You need like billions of dollars in
Well,
liquidity, and they're not
yeah,
gonna be able to afford
you
that.
can't be your own market maker is my understanding.
Oh, like legally?
Like yeah, because then they would have to be betting on them against themselves or on themselves. Like
Oh,
it.
okay.
like essentially they would have to like then you'd be a casino. Like
Yeah, at that point, you're the house. No,
yeah,
sorry,
you're the house, and
you're
that
the
makes no
casino.
sense. But
Yeah.
these are some ones out there like Sig, Jump Crypto, Cumberland, like Wintermute, GRS, like nothing you'd really know, but they're like actual like market makers.
I just think financial institutions like maybe JP Morgan having an adjacent branch of that, maybe ARK Invest, Citadel having, well, those are market makers for sure, but like, um, I didn't know there were specific crypto market makers. That's really interesting. Like Jump Crypto, I was like, wow, that's new. Cool. That makes sense.
I don't know if JP Morgan would be considered a market maker. Like, I guess they really are, but
I mean, they're not just a bank. They have like assets, you name it. They're like real estate too.
yeah, I guess they are one of the bigger ones. It's just yeah, they're just not crypto like related. Yeah, because okay, they're a market maker because of FX markets. And that's what they are, and they're the primary dealer
Oh,
with the
okay.
Federal Reserve.
When you say effects, you mean like future commodities, futures?
No,
Fixed.
foreign exchanges like
Okay.
forex, like they're
Okay.
doing bonds, treasuries, swaps on currencies, shit like that.
Gotcha. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. People interchangeably use FX and Forex. So I was like, okay, same thing. Okay. No, that makes sense. I know we were going to talk about the macroeconomics, but I know this is kind of like us kind of slowly getting into that. So, um, I think I can do another 15 minutes here. I don't know how you're feeling, but
That's fine.
let's see.
I'm into it.
Sweet. Yeah, this is our first stream. So, if you're watching this, thanks for tuning in with us. We have quite a few of viewers on Twitter, so that's fun. If you guys want to drop a chat, let us know what you want us to talk about. Maybe you have some questions. We're happy to look into that. Let's see. We're also streaming on YouTube. So YouTube has one viewer, so that's fun. I think next time we can probably do some more marketing or social media posts about, hey, we're gonna go live on this episode on this day and whatnot. Maybe have like a strict cadence of that, and then just stick with it, and then put it out there on socials. That'll be fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's see. So it makes sense. While I'm looking at Kalshi again, if I'm on the crypto section, I mean, all of this is just almost like derivatives. You're just trading on what the price is going to be. So I'm guessing this is per what's available with the market makers. I'm guessing if we have a market maker who would be more open on doing like specific crypto niche topics like the AAVE one, we would probably see a prediction market on that. So I think
Yeah,
that's,
like you need volume. Like some of these have slow volumes, like
yep.
Sol being $208 a volume. Like that's hard, you know?
Okay. It makes sense. Bless you.
Ugh.
So macroeconomics. I know we've kind of dwelled on it, and people have been telling us, okay, well, you can't just talk about like everything, and it makes sense. But the reason why I keep going back on suggesting macroeconomics is because crypto and blockchain technology is going to become so pervasive or abrasive, I guess, where it's going to be embedded in the ecosystem. Like, you know how some of our rich friends in San Antonio talk about how at the end of the day, what's going to be left in crypto is going to be Bitcoin and stablecoins, or even just stablecoins, because kind of like how the Swift network is the system that moves money around, that could be the same with like some of these networks, like maybe Ethereum, XRP is trying to be one of them, Bitcoin even. So it's going to be more of that. What people are betting on in the next 5, maybe 10 years, where it all could go.
Yeah.
But I really don't think that's going to be the full case. Like DeFi is so popular. I mean, you saw Aave, it has like billions of dollars in total value locked. And
Yeah, but it's like low billions. Like, I do think that Bitcoin and stablecoins are going to become the main parts, and Ethereum is going to be big, but traditional finance is not going to adopt these centralized exchanges and all of that to just, there's going to be winners and losers essentially. Like there has to be.
for sure, everything has a winner
So
and a loser.
I think it's going to consolidate down to like maybe 4 or 5 chains that are active and out there, and then there might be some very niche chains to do like specific use cases, like even international trade with cargo ships. Like there might be a chain that's just for that. There might be that, but I think there's going to be a consolidation of what happens over the next 20, 30 years.
You ever played Cyberpunk 2077? You ever play that game?
No, no, but I played like close versions to that stuff. But yeah,
So, if I remember the lore, because I could go into a rabbit hole, but essentially, companies are what run the economy there instead of like the government, instead of like having a full separation of powers, um, governance like we do now. Like now in Cyberpunk 2077, it's just companies running that, and they have this electronic payment system where it's called eddies. It's like the euro and the dollar united, and then that's like the global currency. I'm sure there's like, if I remember, there's like still other countries, but it's kind of like if America today did like the whole thing with Greenland and Canada, it would become the superpower because of all of its GDP and assets and everything and in commodities. But I think if crypto were to become like the global settlement of finance, kind of like how Swift is a big, if crypto were to become the new Swift, it would have to be, what do you think it would be on what we have right now? Do you think something new would come out? Do you think something that
I
doesn't
think
use
they're just going to
central
use
idea?
stable coins for that. Like I think that's the part. Like I think Bitcoin is going to become a thing with nation states and with like a particular type of person that doesn't want the government interfering. And I
Yep.
think the Bitcoin Lightning Network with Square and all of that's progressing. But I think most finance is going to go to stable coins. Like that's the direction it's heading.
Well, yes, but there's different networks that take USDC. There's Base, there's Arbitrum, Ethereum Mainnet, you name it. Like, you think most of these will die, and then there's going to be a handful of them that will exist at the end of the day, maybe in like 50 years? Or is
Yeah,
it
I
going to
think
be
even less than that. Like I think
even
like
less than
in
that?
the next 10 years, they're going to consolidate down on most ones are, like it's going to probably be USDC on like an Ethereum based network and then an
Yep.
L2 and then Tether, like out there.
Well, Tether runs, it's a token, and it runs on many of these as well. I guess a lot of these networks are trying to do kind of the same thing, but I think the one that wins is the one that's the most accessible and the one that offers the lowest fees, and it's also the most has the most high frequency. And right now, Solana is winning largely, and Hyperliquid's L1 is also up there. Um, it's interesting, but let's see. Um, I think another thing that's going to take us to that goal or that end game is going to be how legislation passes. So, Clarity Act, there's been some developments there. RWAs being in one network is also going to be there. Like, imagine if you could do all these commodities settlements on the blockchain. That would be another driving component to that end game. And then, well, ETF inflows are also going to be a part of that. Like, what tokens, what networks is going to have the most ETF inflow. Right now, it's probably Ethereum and Bitcoin, probably Bitcoin being the number one. Interest rates, if a network were to offer high interest rates, that would drive flow there easily. Because right now, banks are offering uh, 3% around that interest rate, but it's largely based on the treasury bills. They could give us 4, maybe 5% interest, but they would make no money on that. So they're going to keep it at 3%. Yeah, I think all these things need to kind of line up in order to push some of these blockchains forefront.
Yeah, and I think the fact is the macroeconomics is what's changing. The fact that Iran is settling stuff in Bitcoin. There's been discussions of other currencies settling oil transactions. Traditionally, that's a dollar controlled system, and it's changing. Like I think the more that it changes, I could see a lot of countries that are locked out of the traditional finance system moving to Bitcoin because of that. And I could see a lot of countries over time migrating to Bitcoin because they're just like, hey, I don't want these countries waging economic war on us. Like the reason why Trump is fighting wars on the weekends is because it's economic warfare more than
Yep.
anything. Like you don't want the market, having impact. And I don't think we've priced in the price of the Strait of Hormuz, however we pronounce it, Hormuz
Yeah.
closing over the past couple of weeks. Like it is fully closed, and I don't think anybody's pricing that in right at the moment.
I have a thought for you, and this is getting a little bit into politics. Let me know what you think, but the whole reason why people are I guess there's a bit of a conspiracy, but the reason why people think we got into the war with Iran, which has been kind of boiling for the last better decade part, is because of the debt that we have. What do you think of that? Like, do you think this war is because we want to take their oil, or are we just trying to settle their debt? Settle our debt, I mean.
Well, it's costing us billions of dollars, so like it's not going to settle on any of our debt. More than anything, it is like the reasons we'll never know until somebody writes a book and says exactly what happens. But this is a proxy war against China more than anything.
Kind of like how it happened with the Maduro capture. There was a lot of
Well, no,
Chinese.
like this is a proxy. Well, yeah, like that's related to it. But you know how
Yeah,
we took
related.
like we took every choke point in the world and secured it, and
Yeah,
then we started choking China of oil. So like we're we're waging a proxy war against
China.
China.
It's the second largest
But
superpower. Russia was up there, but after the war with
well,
Ukraine,
we
I think it
choked them
fell.
to death. Like we choked them over decades, USSR and everything.
Well, yep.
Like we're trying to do that to China
Try-
without blowing up the world economy.
So messy there. Yeah, I need to think. I need to dive deeper into this. I'm not trying to pull an Alex Jones here, but I just think it's something noteworthy while we're in the subject to talk about. Um, at the end of the day, this is all going to be written in in the history books, and only then we'll probably have a more assertive answer than now. But all we can do is speculate. Somehow, Bitcoin is up while all of this is happening, and the S&P too, which I was actually kind of shocked. Just because I mean, the way those assets perform doesn't correlate to how the how healthy the economy is. Because while people are living paycheck to paycheck, companies are making profits and the economy looks healthy on paper. But if you dive deeper in the surface, yeah, people are struggling. So I don't know what to think as to why Bitcoin is doing good in particular. But seeing how it's starting to follow the S&P 500, well, it's all probably just part of the same game. But
Yeah.
that's as far as as far as what I'm thinking about for this episode. Just my thoughts here. Um, what else do we got?
No, I think that's it. If we want to wrap, and we can kind of do this, and then I'd love to. I think we kind of do this every other week, and kind of do
Yep.
breakdowns and do them live, and have people on, and then do some of these recorded ones.
Yeah. So this wasn't a pilot. This was a pilot episode. I think if you guys liked it, let us know. I had fun. If I'm being honest. So I definitely want to do this more. Although hoping we would have a more polished episode next time we're gonna have some overlays. We're gonna try to incorporate. We were talking about it earlier, Leon, but we might need a whole fucking Mac studio or something, some other computer with high RAM. Um, if we want to maybe put live prices below, I think that'd be really fun to do as part of an overlay. Um, but we're gonna be cooking with that and see what we can do right now where we're at, and definitely next episode is gonna be far more polished. So we'll keep you guys
Cool.
updated. Follow our socials. Let us know what you think. We'll be posting next time around. We'll be posting when we'll be going live. Usually Saturday is the best time we do these. So if you guys want to see more, follow us. Let us know what you think. Subscribe or dislike. Tell us you hate us, and we'll listen to your feedback. Partially at that point, I suppose, but we'll go from there.
Cool. I'm gonna stop it.